James, I have a question here. Hold on a second. I'm going to use technology. Oh, look at this. We're still filming. This is Aurochs Varange, right? He asked, has James written anything about the international slave/metal traders, their intelligence network, them funding both sides of every conflict from 1850 BC? Does he have a book or recommendation for this? I've been trying to search through his site to get more information about this stuff, but can't find it.
Oh, okay. Well, on my website, the tag is Conspiracy Against Mankind. That's not where I put all the articles on this, but I should finish this book in 2 weeks, and it's titled Enemy of All Mankind. You'll never be able to search it successfully because a book on piracy will show up called
Okay.
Enemy of All Mankind.
Yeah,
So I'm using predominantly ancient sources. 2 books that I would recommend that I do cover in my book. One is The Babylonian Woe by David Astell. I think it was self-published in 1974. That was sent to me by SS Sam. It was patrolling the Constantina Wire down between Chile and Argentina, and was getting frustrated with thinking there was more in this book than he was getting out of it. It was very densely written. I've read it 6 times.
Oh, God.
And so the core of my book, Enemy of All Mankind, is 15 chapters where I go through and summarize and hand-typed quotes out of the hardback book. These have, by this point, mostly been serialized under the tag A Conspiracy Against Mankind, which has a really cool graphic on the site with like a Maui image. A really quick short read that tackles this subject briefly and obliquely and ties a lot of information together is a book titled 1666, Redemption Through Sin by Robert Zephyr. The other project I'm working on that ties into this is The Son of God, which is the story of Alexander the Great as told by Arian, in which the hands of the slave metal traders, where they obviously killed Alexander.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I mean, it's like totally obvious.
Oh, that's slander.
And every historian will say no,
Oh.
that he wasn't even assassinated. He had malaria or something like that. So I would recommend those sources. Hopefully my book will be in print by September. And a lot of the content you'll find under that tag.
Now, I don't want you to give away anything in your book, but like, what's the gist of it? Like, in terms of that, there's been that metal, banking, everything is linked to just like.
Put it this way: in a collection of 23 ancient poets that are regarded as minor poets only because most of their work does not survive, there is a whole lot relatively to the word count. There's a whole lot of discussion of banking and bankers and people for money betraying their own community.
Never.
Okay. There's a lot of discussions about this in the poetry that survives by poets who most of their work did not survive. There's a lot more discussion about this in these 40 pages, 40 not very dense pages of type, than you will find in the hundreds of very dense pages of Aristotle and Plato. Okay, so the works of the philosophers survive because this question is completely sidestepped. They were having their discussions in the center of the powerhouse. They were basically having their discussions at the Pentagon. Okay, so the surviving ancient poetical fragments are much more illuminating when you look at it. And the 2 figures, 6 of these articles I sent to Len for the Substack site.
Okay.
So some of the stuff is going to show up in the late summer on Substack.
Go on to Substack, guys.
I think it's Lockhart, Wafan, Lockhart. But for instance, Lycurgus, the so-called mythical rule giver of Sparta, and Solon seemed to have lived at the same time as a fellow named Theognis,
Oh yeah, that dude.
and three other poets who were homeless because their communities had been taken over by international banking interests. They were backed by the might and muscle of the Persian Empire, who the bankers owned, and obviously owned. And the Solon, his work survives. A decent amount of his work survives, including his justification of his monetary and political reforms that he conducted at the same time that Lycurgus, who supposedly didn't exist, that's what historians will tell you, completely flipped Sparta around. Sparta was the money spot. Sparta was a totally decadent, what we would think of as the Corinthians, place where everything was bought and sold. There was a famous Spartan who was quoted by a homeless Lydian poet who said, so and so of Sparta said, money makes the man. That was 25 years before the time frame of Lycurgus, when a bunch of Lydian poets who were homeless, like Tertius, who were no longer welcome in their homeland, were actually brought to Sparta, and they composed and sold and sang poetry, patriotic poetry for the new reformed Sparta,
Nice.
which nationalized the currency.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh man.
And Croesus of Lydia was killed because he nationalized the currency of his own country. And one of these poets actually came from Croesus's overturned community and ended up working as a poet for, and Hesiod. Hesiod was a homeless poet of a homeless father who they had in the 700s. His dad was pushed out, impoverished. He was pushed out and murdered. Hesiod was, for not getting along with the bosses that were backed by the bankers.
So you're saying 1913 wasn't the beginning?
No, it was just like it was just another expression of what I'm beginning to think is not an externally imposed, but a cryptically imposed economic cycle.
Okay.
That is used to hollow out an economy so that the real value can be gotten into the hands of the people who start the downturn cycle.
I don't know, man. This sounds like a conspiracy theory.
Well, it's my only book on conspiracies.
Well, there you go.
Enemy of all mankind. You'll find it under the tag conspiracy against mankind.
Because we're going. Bro, you give me the truth is conspiracy. My answer to any conspiracy is, well, show me what you got. So at this point in my life, too many lies already. So, but we're having a good day on this day of freedom. We have freedom because of that, because of those metal traders. You know that.
Well, in the ancient world, it went hand in hand. The person that controlled the slave trade was the person in position to control the precious metal trade, because that type of mining was 100% lethal in the ancient world.
Yep. All right, man. Cool.